The Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast is dedicated to all things Horus Heresy. This podcast delves into the grimdark universe where Primarchs clash, legions rise, and loyalties fracture faster than a Land Raider's track. But it's not just about the lore of the Horus Heresy. The Accountabilibuddies also explore the gaming side of things, from painting and modeling tips to product reviews and ideas to help you in your hobby. So, whether you're a seasoned Forge World veteran or a fresh-faced scout, this podcast is your Vox channel to the galaxy. Expect discussions on lore, modeling, gaming, and maybe even the shenanigans that your hosts somehow seem to find their way into. Remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there are only two things you can count on: heresy and your trusty Accountabilibuddies.
And welcome to episode 125 of the Heresy Accountability Buddies Podcast. My name is Jack, and tonight we have our fellow buddies of
Brian,
Duncan.
Jamie.
and John.
and Jack. We tonight we have a very special episode that is going to be Duncan centric because we have a letter that I received asking me to make Duncan do a thing. Um, so to protect everybody's identity, the writer is going to be referred to from here on out as Dave. But before we get to Dave, we're going to kick it over for a quick station identification.
Do you love resin bases? Then go to our sponsor Elric Hobbies for all of your basing and basing accessory needs. Use code HERESYABB at checkout for a discount. Legendary Monument Hobbies. Monument Hobbies is a one-stop shop for all of your painting needs. Use code HERESYABB at checkout for a 5% discount on your purchase. Pop Goes the Monkey. Find maker of third-party accessory bits of arms, legs, backpacks, and more, where you can get 10% off your first order over $125 with code HERESYABB at checkout.
Station identification. And thank you to our patrons. Without you, all of these shenanigans and me telling Duncan to do stuff would not be possible. But before we get to all of that good stuff, John, you know what to do.
Oh, hobby progress. I think I did some of that this week. So I've been working more on Knight. So last week I kind of finished up the Atropos with his Dark Fire cannon going off. Um, After that, I started building the plastic torsos for all the other Knights that I've been working on, and one of the resin Knights that I've been working on, and managed to get all the torsos and legs built for everybody, and then started kind of figuring out what poses I wanted to do. So first up was a Knight Acheron with the big flamethrower and chain glaive going off, and so he's gonna pose with his flamethrower out. And I found this really cool piece of uh, Star Wars flamethrower trooper that came with this goofy little Grogu toy. Hit ollies for like $2, and so I bought a couple of those to steal the flame effects off of, and so I attached that onto the end of the flamethrower. It looks pretty cool. And then I put one of the Gundam Mecha Chains, the third party company that makes a bunch of Gundam accessories and stuff, and used that to replace the existing, was it like 175 part chain that GW makes now. Technically it's movable, but it's way too many parts for me to care about, so I didn't want to do that crap. So I found out that the Gundam chain that I'm using fits on there like it was made for it. I didn't have to do anything but remove the existing pin work, and it slid right in there, and I just dropped a couple drops of glue in there. After I got that guy assembled, I decided to work on the Castigator, which is the one with the minigun and sword. I found this sword flame effects on AliExpress. I think it's from some like 1/6 scale figures, and the sword like catches fire or something. So I got a couple of different flame effects for this guy. The one I'm using for this Castigator is the one where he's basically slamming his flame sword onto the ground to do the little aura that they get, where they can give up all their attacks to get an attack for everybody against base to base characters. And so I cut the existing sword off, and then built up a plastic rod in the middle, along with a couple of strengthening pins made out of paper clips, and then that the flame effect then fits over that, and so I can take the flame effect off, so I can paint it, and then I'll glue the flame effect back on when it's finished painting. While I was cutting that out, I needed some plastic card cut to a perfect shape, so I used these little table saw that I have that I bought from Harbor Freight, and sent Duncan a picture of me buzzing my finger in the table saw. I didn't draw any blood, but it ended up making a little blister that kind of bugged me for the next couple days. Just a bug Duncan on that. And then I started cleaning up around the house a little bit more. You can probably see the background is a little more organized in there, and came across a set that I bought a while ago at Home Depot. And so I want to say about 3 years ago, Home Depot had this little handheld compressor that everyone seems to love for airbrushing, loves to talk about. No one I've known actually uses the dang thing yet. And so I picked up that set on clearance and thought, well, I'll get to this when I get to it, and put it in my stack of stuff. And came across it while I was cleaning, and I figured I'd open it up, and found out that for some reason my set came with 2 airbrushes, which I thought was pretty cool. These are dual action gravity fed airbrushes. The bottom connector works with a QD mount that I stole from it's the same size as the Harbor Freight, or the Harder and Steenbeck one. And so I was like, oh, this will be kind of neat going forward. And then I noticed that the compressor doesn't have any way to connect a power supply to it. So it turns out that this is a Work, WORX, and Maker X is the name of the offshoot brand, special Home Depot brand compressor and connectors. So I need to buy a battery, a charger for the battery, and then a long, long, stupid cord that connects said battery to this compressor. All so I can run this silly little thing that everyone agrees is really crappy for doing airbrush work for what we do. And I said, screw it. I tossed the thing in the trash. So it's by the front door. So whenever someone says they want it or expresses any care about it at all, I'm going to throw it at them. So anyone that can take that can take it. I'm not that impressed with everything else that was involved in the package. The airbrushes look kind of neat. I haven't had a chance to set them up and airbrush with them yet, but I figure they'll be good for base coats and sealer spray, if nothing else. I think I paid all of like $30 for this set, but I'm not going to spend another $80 to see if this compressor works when I can just go buy another one of those compressors for like $50. I don't think I've seen them on Amazon for. So kind of a dead end in that instance. But after that, I've been kind of reorganizing some of the stuff around the house. I got all the podcast and giveaway Griblies organized, and then Jack came by and we went out to dinner at a pretty decent little burger shop. Um, they weren't that impressed with human beings being in their vicinity, but afterwards we went over to Daiso. I've never known someone to be more annoyed that Jack asked for a cup to drink the drink that he bought. And even though the guy was like standing next to the cups, it still took him over a minute to find the cups. It was funny. It was just like, I take back my tip that you made me pre-program when I made my purchase on the iPad. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I've just been building those nights and cleaning up around the house and getting stuff that are organized. So, like I said, I want to try to get all these second kind of half finished projects done. We're 26 days away from the Dallas Open. I want to have a lot of new nights to finish for that, so I can have everything kind of working. What about you, Jamie? What have you been up to?
I have been working on a project HOV lane passenger. That is what I'm calling the Titan build. I'm building a Warbringer Titan. I'm printing it out with my 3D printer that I just got, and I just wanted to see if I could do it and do it right. And so far, no problems. It's a lot of printing. I think I'm on my 7th platter of printing, and I'm just working on the waist down of the Titan. I've got most of it laid out. I'm probably I've got most of the parts printed other than the leg armor. I've got like the hip and the crotch armor all done, but not the actual shins and the calf armor, but all the stuff on the inside of it's done. So that's really all I've had time to work on. I've had a lot of soccer this week, and that's pretty much it. Talking about some other projects with other people, but that's until soccer gets over this coming week, at the end of this week, I really don't have a whole lot of hobby time. So unfortunately, how about Duncan?
Ooh, I sprayed 20 something Night Lord Tactical Marines. Got them. I've got the colors I've decided to do on them down. So I got them base sprayed, um, highlights, uh, blend their multiple blues, and then their transparent blending to get all that done. So they're pretty much to the step where next I'm going to have to like start working on their trim and other details and picking them out. I also got two different Praetors ready to the same level, uh, and another character to the same level. I'm not certain what that one will end up being. Probably a chaplain, to be honest. Um, Next step beyond that, I have more guys I'll be working on over the next few weeks. I also reached out to a couple authors who I've never contacted before, trying to see if I could maybe get them to come to the podcast and talk with us. We'll see if any of that comes to fruition. That would be nice, but I am not holding my breath on that. But they are heresy authors, so maybe, who knows? Beyond that, um, no other real hobby work done by me other than sitting here and fiddling with lists through New Recruit, trying to see what I can come up with that are legions that I don't play or factions I don't play that I might be interested in doing something with. So, Jack, I know yours is going to be kind of short. What have you done this week?
I made out with John at a burger place that didn't want to give me a drink. But John let me sit on his lap. We talked about whatever popped up, and then I kicked it over to Brian.
Brian got some stuff in the mail, some goodies. I got the parts I needed for my nullificator squad build out, so I spent some time cleaning up those bits earlier this week. I spent some time working a little bit more on my Mortius Poisoners / Seeker squad as well. And I actually managed to get some games in this week. Used my Armored Spearhead list that I came up with back in December. And it went all right. It was a very bloody game. Wound up about every time myself and my opponent shot at a tank, we exploded it. So things left the board pretty quickly. It was good times.
How many scoring squads do you have, Brian?
What's that?
How many scoring squads do you have in your breakthrough list?
Just two. Two tactical squads and land raiders. Because it's not supposed to be a very good list.
Gotcha.
It kind of lacks shooting for being an Alpha Strike army, and it lacks scoring. But it's fun.
So it doesn't really do anything well, is what you're saying.
I mean, it lets you have fun in a very great capacity, so that's the objective, right?
Yeah.
But other than that, it's been a pretty chill week for Bri over here. And I think that covers everybody.
That covers everybody. John, it's time for your very important news desk.
All right, so not a ton has been happening in the news this week. We had the drop of the Codex War Leaders and Codex Death Guard come up for pre-order this weekend. I don't remember those dice being hot pink and yellow when they were pictured on the pre-order article. It's definitely an odd color choice for Death Guard. The War Leaders dice look cool with that kind of clear red. Next up, we had our usual Sunday preview article. I'm going to say that I wasn't that impressed with this coming weekend's releases. think this is the first time we've ever seen the Sunday preview article not have anything in their physical.
I was gonna say, wait, there was actually something previewed.
Yeah, they're talking about doing colored metallics and some games on Warhammer Plus. That's it.
Like
It's definitely
we briefly discussed this earlier, and I honestly can't remember a time where they didn't actually have something previewed, like a model or a book, since they started doing the Sunday previews. Do you all remember a time when they've done it?
not
No.
since Warhammer Community started. No.
Yeah.
So like I was kind of like, what's going on? Yeah, I mean, this is very weird.
Yeah, that's the only thing we even got this week that I was kind of vaguely impressed with was these Middle Earth
Yeah,
dragon things. I thought those were pretty cool
great.
sculpts.
Yeah,
But no Heresy Thursday, no anything really this week from official GW. It's really kind of bland. Warhammer merch, there was a couple new drops. So we saw last week the pre-order for Collector's Edition Calgar, and now we're getting Collector's Edition of all 3 of the main characters from Space Marine 2. These look like they're pulled straight from the video game files, so we're getting better head sculpts, we're getting more detailed stuff all around. Yeah, the little crap all around them, the fancier shoulder pad rims.
I wonder if
Do what?
their scale is going to be bigger than like the Marines that have already been out before too, because like they had the scale jump for Calgar.
Yeah, I don't know anything like that. I do know these though. The each one of them does have a light kit installed in their face. This is actually something that's been coming from a lot of third-party companies have been making these out. This is just a tiny little circuit board, takes an LED or takes one little watch battery, and you get an LED back there, and you light pipe it. It's really cool considering that the Space Marine heads are basically hollow anyway, so you might as well do something with it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth the extra $10 or $15 that you're going to be charging per figure. 72, 59, 59. So why is not the main character more expensive? That doesn't make any sense to me. Charon is more expensive than anybody else with more stuff. Makes no sense to me. Nope,
Well,
same amount of stuff. That's weird.
Well, it's Ultramarine, so who knows?
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely an odd choice to. I like the fact that they're doing this. I think if they started putting these collector's edition specialties instead of more figures, I think a lot of more people would be looking at Joy Toy more often. It's definitely a cool add-on to have the LEDs in there. Starforged has dropped some new stuff as well this week. I know y'all like to talk when I talk a little bit about some of the non-GW stuff, but we'll talk about their GW stuff first. The 2 badges that we've got in the past few months that were been free if you put in a code are now, well, shortly will be up for pre-orders. For some reason, these just got published today and say sold out. And I've never seen this website say sold out before. If something's sold out, they just pull it. So I'm assuming that this just hasn't come up for sale yet. I check this site every couple days, and these weren't existing last time I checked. So my guess is that these are going to come up shortly. I got this Aquila in the other day when a couple months ago when they had that free coupon for it. It's definitely a really cool pin. It's got 2 pin backs, really nice fancy gold finish. I think these are cool if you're into pins and things like that. My guess would be probably usual cost is going to be around $16 to $17 a piece. Non-GW wise, one more GW thing is the Deathwatch ring. So just like before, where we've got a total silver and then a silver with gold accents for 7 or 8 times the price for no reason. The Deathwatch ring is kind of cool there for if you want to have that ring for your collection. On the non-GW side, Dune. I just think this is neat in a weird way. The Spice Harvester is an incense holder and burner.
Okay, that's neat.
Yeah.
I thought that was just neat. So definitely an interesting design for an incense burner to sit on your desk. I don't know where the incense goes or where anything goes in this. They don't show any of it, but it's cool looking. I guess there it is. Comes up the top vents. It looks like you get your choice of large or small incense burners. So Harkonnen Spice Harvester becomes an incense burner. It's definitely cool. I think that'd be really cool to pick up a couple of those for like terrain for Titanicus scale and objectives and things like that. Definitely some cool looking stuff there. On the third party front, Mad Robot Miniatures has been doing their own patron. So what they're doing is they're offering some 3D sculpts that you can go ahead and get 3D printed. And so what we've got here is their Grognard's range has been added with some jet bikes, which kind of resemble some of the old Rogue Trader stuff. And that's what their Grognard's range looks a lot like the old Rogue Trader era Imperial Army figures. Uh,
I remember those guys.
yeah, this one's kind of sad though. Victoria Miniatures is ending their Sledgehammer BFD artillery piece. So less than 30 remain, at least at her place. I don't know how many Reaper still has, or even if they're selling them anymore. I saw them at Adepticon. I saw that they were clearance at Adepticon, so I'm guessing that they're getting rid of them too. This is definitely a really cool kit if you're planning on doing militia or Solar Rocks and want some artillery pieces.
Well, it's just kind of weird with the Krieg being plastics just coming out, unless they're planning. Maybe she knows something we don't.
Isn't
Yeah, maybe
she
they're gonna
out?
redo it.
Isn't she out of Australia?
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, but she teamed up with Reaper to make this. So Reaper, this is done in Reaper's terrain plastic. It's not like Bones. All the crew are made of Bones plastic, so it's a little bendy. But the cannons themselves and the uh, tractor bit are all made of that harder plastic
I
that doesn't respond well to plastic glue.
I don't know. Maybe yeah.
I mean, it's been 6 years since it came out, so maybe it's
Yeah.
time to.
I don't know. Maybe this for ease of I don't know. I think more stuff is going to end up going over to STLs just for ease of payment and all that good stuff. So maybe, hopefully, she's going to start selling STLs. They need to.
He has started selling some STLs for some of
Oh,
her infantry stuff, so
okay. Yeah,
yeah, it's possible that's where this is going.
yeah, because I would buy it. I would give her money for it.
The other cool thing that she did was she made those resin add-on kits that swapped out the wheels for tracks, swapped the gun to be smaller or different sizes. There's a bunch of different add-ons that were available there. And the other announcement is Chaos Temple Miniatures is now doing a 20% discount on all their epic scale stuff. This is a company that's done a lot of really cool GW conversion kits. So they've got Space Marine conversion or Librarian on a bike and Librarian jetpack conversion kits. That they've also announced they're going to be discontinuing a lot of the GW centric stuff. This is a company out of Czechoslovakia, but or I guess it's the Czech Republic now. They've got a bunch of really cool bits here with these add-on kits. They've got these are really good pistols for Archaeotech pistols. I've used them for some of my conversions in that, and definitely some cool stuff in here. So it's sad to see them clearancing the heck out of all this stuff, but load up if it's something that you're looking forward to. They're looking for your conversions. Yeah, this was one I used for my Librarian on jet bike conversion because not only do they make the parts compatible, much like Chapter House did way back when, but also the bodies break down like GW bodies. So you've got the same kind of ball and socket joint here in the torso, so it fits really well with GW parts.
I like the look of that that jetpack.
Yeah, it's a really cool miniature. But that's all I've got from the mini-wise. Malifaux said that they're going to be coming out with their second edition fairly soon. So we'll see what that looks like. Or sorry, 4th edition. Wow.
Have we mentioned
So
that we have a drop date for Era of Ruin?
that was the
We have
next
not.
piece of news. So Era of Ruin is going to be finally coming out, supposedly, uh, fairly shortly here, with a June 17th release date. Now, this is an Amazon posting, so we don't necessarily know how official it is. Usually they're fairly close to an official release date. And also, usually about a month before is when the collector's edition ships. So that should mean, ideally, that we're going to be getting the pre-orders for a collector's edition in May. Then it's going to ship late May, and then June is going to be release of the normal edition. But we'll
May
see how
17th,
the
May 17th would be a Saturday, so that might be about when to look for it.
yeah. But we'll have to keep our eyes on uh, Warhammer community and things like that to see what goes on. Be interesting if it comes up.
Rock
That's
on,
all
dude.
that's all I got, gentlemen. Not a ton going on, especially with GW killing no pre-orders this week.
Fair. It's fair. I think the thing
Jamie?
I'm most excited about is the possibility of us getting the actual next book.
Yeah, it's I look forward to it. I hope it just doesn't end. Like I kind of hope that they're going to come back and do some heresy leanings. That's something they said they would do, and we've seen it a couple of times with the Black Library Celebration books. They'll occasionally throw a heresy story in there, even after the heresy quote unquote ended. So, I mean, 8 years is a long time to cover the entire galaxy.
Yeah, it is. So, all right, Jack. You said you
Take it
had
away, Jack.
some kind of
Well,
nonsense.
first I have a question for Jamie. Let me close out of the stream. There we go. Did you see Fohammer's review of the Elgu was carbon something carbon?
No, I hadn't. I've been crazy busy this week. Like I really haven't had any time to look at reviews. The Carbon I thought though was one of the not the FEP style printer. I thought it was one of the what do you call them? The other style printers.
PLA.
PLA. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I thought it
the
was like.
why
Go
I
ahead. Sorry.
bring why I bring this up is for a price point of $300, it's a slightly worse version of the Bamboo X1.
Gotcha.
And just
Yeah,
want
the
to make sure,
bamboos I know are pretty highly rated by most people,
yeah,
especially like Lucas and Christopher up in North Alabama. The shop that he works at has a bamboo.
yeah,
Couple of them, I think.
just for something that if somebody wants to print out terrain for their
Mhm.
tables, it's a very appealing option. So nice that I may buy one.
I mean, how close is it to just plug and play, or not plug and play, but just inserting a thumb drive with an STL and push and start?
It's there for them.
It's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right. So, on to the meat and taters. I got a letter in from a viewer. We're gonna call him Dave. Dave
Uh
writes,
huh.
"Hey Jack, you're so good at making Duncan do stuff. I need you to make him do a thing. Duncan, you may want to open up new recruit with
I already have it open.
outstanding. I am trying to get a friend into the hobby, um, but they do not know what legion they want to do. But they are willing to do a 2,000 point list, no budget, um, so there's no constraints on it, of a gunline army without being cheesy. So no, try las cannon squads.
The
Yeah.
so is there any other constraints? Because if it's a gun line, 2,000 points, there's already three armies that I would look at just to start off the start.
Well, this is non-denominational. So this what would you do for a 2,000 point army, gun line focus. It doesn't have to be straight gun line. How would you build that?
And it doesn't matter what legion.
It there's no legion in mind from what I got from here. It's they don't know what they want to do.
Okay.
Well, as I was kind of saying before, there's three off the top of my head. There's three legions that kind of lend themselves to gunline. And y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but Iron Warriors,
Yeah.
um,
Iron Warriors really do a good gun line.
Death Guard,
Do a phenomenal
and,
gun line.
and then Dark Angels.
I think what they were wanting was
Ultramarines.
Ultramarines
Ben.
too.
a 2,000 point list, something that they could build on that could go
Legion
anyway.
agnostic.
Yeah,
Really,
anyway. So if they want to
like
do
a core gun line, and then you can add other stuff on to it.
right, once
That's
they figure out
more Legion
what legion
specific.
they want to do, like say a feather, strikes them and they decide they want to do Emperor's Children or whatever. This a
So they're
good
Gray
solid
Marines
base.
right now. They're the
Yes,
second or 11th Legion.
yes.
Okay. And that's all. They don't have anything other than gunline centric.
Right.
And there's no, as you said, no price list. So are they starting with anything at all?
Didn't say, so we're going to assume they're starting from scratch.
Okay.
So no box set limitations or no, well, you have 10 Terminators lying around. What do you do with them? It's the.
Right. I was just wondering if they had like a box that we had to start with or something like that.
Okay.
2
2,000 point
Whirlwind
Space Marine.
Scorpius. Right off the bat.
And two Sarkarians?
I run 4
Mm.
Sectarians.
Well, it's only 2,000 points.
So where's your head first at, Duncan?
Well, the first thing I did was I grabbed two tactical squads because
You
they're
have to.
generic. You have to. But I don't leave the tactical squads bare as they are. I always throw extra stuff on them. And that's just for sheer durability and reliability. Because if they're going to be your objective grabbers, I always go ahead and throw Artificer on the sergeant. I always give the sergeant and the guys close combat weapons. I don't do the bayonets or the chain bayonets because I don't like them. And I prefer having what I've always referred to as the Holy Trinity of a bolt pistol, a bolter, and a chainsword or a close combat weapon.
Yeah.
So I throw those on there. So those guys are done. Assuming just a generic 2K list, I built a generic Praetor. So he's got a Paragon Blade, a Thunder Hammer, so he's going to be durable for close combat no matter what.
Do you want to share your screen so we can see what you're doing?
I guess I could probably do that. That would actually be a good idea. Once I open up a fresh tab that doesn't have all my other stuff nonsense around in it.
Throw some Tech Marines and Armistos in there.
Oh. All right. So there we go.
I got you.
You got me?
I
All
got
right.
you.
So I've set it up as Imperial Fist just for right now, just because you never know. And because there's a lot less wonkiness with their rights and all that. And I didn't really feel like filling with character specific stuff. So, like I said, there's a generic Praetor. I've got him with Paragon Blade, as I said, the Thunder Hammer. I always seem to choose those two, even when there is a cheaper option available, like the Lightning Claw. I just don't seem to throw that on there. I always just throw the Paragon Blade on there because of the extra ability for it to strike first and actually be AP2, and still have the ability to murderous strike things out. There's the tactical squads, as I said, bolters, bolt pistols, chain swords, uh, and artificer armor on the Sarge. Didn't take them with anything extra. Didn't even give them a transport. So just got two basic, what I consider bare naked tactical squads. Assuming gun line and only gun line. I will absolutely go for a pair of rapier batteries. Um, and just because I can, I will grab a pair of quads with shatter shells and frag grenades, or the frags. So they come with the frags, and doubling the cost gives you the shatter shells. That way you're going to have the barrage you can throw out there at whatever range, and you're going to have the heavy force sundering strength 8 AP4 shots that you can use to try to crack light vehicles or even heavier vehicles if you get lucky and you get side armor,
Okay.
or you're just going to kind of, I guess, glance your way through. Um, and that's two of those cost the same as a tax quad that I've got set up. So there's that. Um, let's go ahead and take the generic that everybody takes, or seemingly everybody takes. For the generic last cannon squad, there it is. Oh yay, 275 points. Now we've got the tax out of the way. See, building a gun line right now to me is a lot different than it could be than it was in previous editions, because I would always just focus it into the Iron Warrior, so I wouldn't take I take Legion specific stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but being this is Legion agnostic, there's what I consider to be a wise choice. Two javelins, even doing them as separate squadrons, just so you can have stuff that flies around the sides and shoots. It's still primarily shooty, so it still fits with the kind of gunline motif. Something I think gets underplayed a lot is uh, the Dorito. I know a lot of people have them and don't play them very often. I myself have three, and I don't seem to play them very often. Um, I personally, mine are all built with the autocannon battery, just because it's what comes with it. It's what I had when I built them back in first edition, and I've never torn those off or magnetized them because I don't understand how magnets work, apparently.
The
Um,
new ones are a bit of a pain to magnetize with the feed belts and everything, but
Yeah, and I definitely get that. One thing that I think I would likely do, however, is putting a single Dorito in there. Um, you've already got a fairly decent amount of last cannons with the heavy support squad and the two javelins. I don't think I would throw the Dorito in there with a last cannon. I think I'd just keep him in there with the regular autocannon battery. Um, Although I would swap out the air defense missiles for the ALIS missile battery, just because A, it's got pinning, B, it's got really hellaciously good range, it's got decent strength, it's AP3, and you can sit there and you don't have to have line of sight to tag things with it, and you can use that to harass lighter vehicles. So, trying to think what else I would throw in here. Mm, so Jamie earlier mentioned possibly putting in a Centurion with the Armistice. The problem is I don't like the Armistice that much. I think he's overcosted for what he brings. Um,
I
so
was always
as
throwing a
much
tech marine in with my jet bike squad. If you're not going with ultramarines, I mean that's another cheap way to get +1 ballistic skill.
that is a good and cheap way to get +1 ballistic skill. My issue is I don't think being able to bump the heavy support squad up to
oh,
a BS5 is all that useful. You're already ballistic skill 4. You're already hitting on threes. With 10 shots, you're hitting an average of 7 of them, I think it is.
Yeah,
And with Sunder already on there, I don't see a point in throwing additional points at making that squad better, because
I could
that's why
see it
I
with like a multi-shot lower strength weapon, like maybe rotor cannons or the Volkite, something that
yeah,
you're relying on the weight of dice more specifically
yeah.
because they don't have the rerolls.
So weight of dice, I absolutely would. Or if this wasn't a last cannon squad and was instead a Volkite Culverin squad, yes, I could see throwing it in there then, because you're using them to just kind of sweep infantry off the board with the weight of fire from the Volkites. But we know what the last cannon squad is going to be shooting at, and it's typically not going to be infantry.
So
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, fast attack. And I know people don't like it, but saber strike tanks with autocannons and multi-meltas on them, fairly
Yep.
cheap, very
Yep.
fast.
Yep.
And you could either go the autocannons with the multi-melta, so you got a little bit anti-tank punch or bigger unit punch with a lot of shots, or you just go full melta and it's just a bejesus level of shooting at
Yep.
squad.
Yep, and you're not wrong. It's a nice thing to have. My only response to that is I feel that since it is a vehicle and has not got wounds or a toughness value, that it's a little bit less valuable on the table
I agree.
compared to a javelin.
The reason I go with them is they're pretty quick,
Oh,
and
they
like
are.
the javelins I get too, but I mean I have both, but yeah. And the other thing is with the heavy weapons squad, I know the default is just going with las cannons. I would actually hazard to look at Volkites if you're trying to put out level of fire.
So I wouldn't actually put them in with the heavy support squad.
Okay.
And the only reason I would not do that is because that would be moved to my the Sky Hunters. I feel that Sky Hunters are a better choice for Volkites.
Yeah. No, I mean it's you get them up there and you get them in the range, and I totally get it.
Yep.
Um.
And with
What about
Volkites on them, they're just too crazy.
what are your
There's too
thoughts
many
on
problems.
tactical support squads like
Can be
Volkite,
good.
Plasma, or Combis?
So my only issue there is I don't throw them onto the table very often because I
Right.
don't see myself wanting to spend the points on them
Yeah, it's
because
the same thing with vets too. Yeah.
they take up and that's it's a huge problem with vets. A tactical support squad, and here I'll just do that. Comparing a tactical support squad to a regular tac squad, you get support squad, you don't get line,
Right.
and they're filling up a spot inside of the actual troop spot of the troop selection. And so, yes, they may have flamers or whatever other weapons you choose to throw on them, rotor cannons, plasma guns, melta guns, but they don't have scoring,
Right.
and they're just tactical marines without scoring. So
Now, I mean,
I'm not really a fan.
there's some Legion specific ones or Legion specific analogs that are close to that actually are scoring, but this is agnostic. So
Yeah.
some of the what do you call them? The inducti squads can do weird stuff like that. So
Yep.
what about inducti?
No. I
No?
do not enjoy inducti for what they are. Realistically, I would almost never take inducti at all.
And you talked about the rodeo or Dorito or whatever.
Yep.
Autocannon, maybe Volkite.
So the Volkite is a question there.
Yeah.
And it's with the Volkite, you've still got strength 7, you've got heavy 8, you do have the deflagrate, and you've got the good range, but you don't have the possibility of rending your way into vehicles if you absolutely have to and need it to get something open. You also get double the shots with the Volkite.
What about? Well, you also are going to add the missiles too, right? No.
Yeah, I already added the missiles onto them.
Which missiles do you want? The English shots or the
alias?
Okay,
I always grab the alias.
Yeah, I was about to say if you're hunting, because eventually you will be hunting if anyone shows up with planes. It's kind of its backup job. The Volkite is pretty much enough to deal with any plane out there, sadly, because they're just so bad right now.
Right, they're horrible.
Yep. And now the real reason that I will absolutely stick with the ALOS missiles no matter what is guided fire. You don't have to have line of sight, so you can sit there and just constantly bombard somebody's backfield shenanigans guys like recon marines with sniper rifles.
or last
Who-
cannon teams or
or
whatever. Yeah.
last cannon teams, yeah.
The
Um,
other factor too is Skyfire on the other missiles now makes it so you snap fire at anything ground target related.
There is that also.
What about another unit that not necessarily would be great? A Leviathan Dreadnought with hurricane bolters.
So you mean the siege cannons?
No, the quad autocannon thingies,
Storm cannon.
storm cannons.
Yeah. I say no on that for two specific reasons. Let me go ahead and throw one on here. We're already going over points, but that's not a big deal.
No. I'm throwing out options like that. Generic style options that people could think about.
Yep. So throwing him on there with two Leviathan storm cannons.
You're losing the main reason people want to bring a Leviathan, which is the Snippy Claw. That's my
Yep.
problem with taking Shooty Dreads. Unless it's the Castaferum, you're still losing that weapon skill 5.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
You're also losing range. You've got range 24 with those guns.
It's
Here
a
you
short.
heavy 12.
There's so many points.
And they're
Yeah.
heavy, so they ain't running.
It's 80 points more than it is for the Dorito. And you have no close combat ability, just like the Dorito. And you have half the range of the Dorito.
Okay.
And you don't have the missiles.
Yep.
So
I mean,
that's why
generally Leviathan you're wanting to get in close to, and it's soak up firepower. So no, I get it. I'm just trying to throw out options that like kind of give scenarios and give reasons for people to understand the thought process behind it.
no, I get it.
I do it all the time.
There's two generic tanks to look at, I would say too. Predators.
So Predators are one that I've looked at repeatedly this edition, and I really don't use that often this edition, simply because I don't really want to build more of them when tanks and vehicles in general are in what I classify as not a great space.
No, I understand. The only reason I would bring them up is the points and the ton of different high volume weapon options that are available on them.
Predators, I've found that the weapons that aren't normal, so like the plasma cannon, the melta cannon, those things are pretty good.
Yeah, the melta
Unless you're gonna,
the melta blast cannon is really good.
yeah, unless you're gonna spam them like I do. That's about the only time I see people taking auto cannons is me taking 12 of them, because otherwise they're kind of, I don't know. I think the auto cannon sucks. It's pretty terrible choice if you're only taking 1 or 2 of them.
Yep,
I would agree.
The conversion beamer is pretty strong.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially
if you can keep it away, but then
Yeah.
then you're running into the problem of you're outranging your sponson weapons, so you need to keep it as cheap as possible if you're going for the sea beamer.
The other one I was going to bring up was the Sarkarians.
Yeah, no. I will absolutely throw a Sakaran into any list anytime if I'm feeling like it. I love the Sakaran. I think the 2SE is a beautiful one. It's one of my favorite tank types of all time in Heresy. I absolutely love everything about the Sakaran. And if I had not already put points in here on other stuff that I think can fill those roles, I would absolutely find the
175 points, I think, is base, if I'm not mistaken.
190.
190, sorry.
Yep. Yeah, it's 190 for the first one, and then it's 175 for each additional one like that in the squadron. And I would not give them anything else other than just the accelerator autocannon and its heavy bolter montage, because the accelerator autocannon is absolutely awesome. 48 inches of range. I love that thing.
What about the other Sakarans? Have you tried those out? Like, I know the Punisher isn't great, but it's fun to roll that many dice.
So the Punisher's good for that purpose. I will admit I have used an Arcus.
Yeah, I've used an Arcus.
I think the Arcus is just fun.
The Omega is pretty solid.
I think the Arquois is good. It's better than it should be.
Good. I've never used the Omega, and I haven't used the Punisher. What about what's the one with the neutron blaster?
Oh, the Venator?
Oh, yeah,
Venator.
I like the Venator. It got a bit of an upgrade in 2.0. If you're looking for stuff to fill heavy support choices and you want something that's a little bit outside the norm, that tank will wreck stuff.
Yeah. No, it's got
Ordnance 2,
neutron
Strength 10,
blast.
AP1, Shock Pulse. Doesn't have neutron
shot.
blast. It has
Yeah, it does
concussive.
not. Yeah, it's a couple shots too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. But you sit there and you put that thing into, say, a Contemptor, and you knock its initiative down because of it making it strike at the same time as regular Power Fist, things like that. Yeah, that's a good one.
Or guaranteeing to break up Spartan or whatever armor 14's on the other side of the table.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's got enough speed that it can reposition itself if you're choosing not to shoot it.
Yes, it does. It's a good tank. It's a very good tank. Pretty much everything in the Sakaran family is a good tank. And I would rather take them over Predators any day of the week. Even with Predators being significantly cheaper, I would take Sakarans and just pay the higher premium for the better vehicle.
You talked about the Reaper batteries, correct?
Yep, I talked about the Rapier batteries. I didn't bring up the fact that I threw a Contemptor in here, but that's only because right now I think Contemptors should be everywhere.
Loadout on the Contemptor, what are you putting on it?
What I consider to be generic, the fist and a melta cannon.
Okay, keep them cheap.
Yep, keep them cheap and let them do their thing when people get close. The issue here is I've also got an 8-man recon squad that really doesn't fit, but it does fit in some ways. It's your third scoring, and it fits well as a gun line.
Yeah.
Now, if I was going to drop anything, I would probably drop the rapiers, and then I would use the extra 160 points to find something to pal around with the Praetor, because right now he's running around
just smashing face by himself.
Yeah, smashing face by himself, or sitting there holding the line with a tactical squad, and that doesn't really put him to much effect, which is kind of bad. So if you're going to do that,
if you're going to leave genericness, you can get one of your special close combat squads from whatever legion you eventually go with. So if it's Ultramarines, you could put him with the Suzerains. If you're Emperor's Children, you could put him with Phoenix or whatever you want to do. That's where I think you could put the flavor in, is whatever you put that Praetor in.
Yeah, like
if the goal is doing a gun line, why even have a Praetor at 2,000 points?
Yeah, how about a Librarian with whatever that special power is?
Divination?
There we go.
Or you could do a Delegatus if you have to have a Rite of War.
Yeah, if you absolutely want that Rite of War for whatever, doing a Delegatus there would be a good choice, and it would be cheaper.
But right now we have no Rite of War, right?
Yep, no, right now we have no Rite of War at all.
What I used to sneak in the jet bike Rite of War, and like 1,500 points and lower was the Delegatus on a bike.
You know, what we could do is be rude. Yeah, he gets his heavy bolter, and he's the warlord because he has to be. And we'll just go ahead and give him a generic. No, not going to run.
You have points for Apothecarian for the tactical squads?
So we do have points for an Apothecary, but we only have 39 points at this point. So I wouldn't really worry about it. I'd probably use that to bump the Recon Marines up to 10 or 9, and then figure out something to do with that 7 points.
A searchlight, or if you have a vehicle.
No, God, no, I wouldn't.
Do you want to be weird?
Yes.
If you want to be really weird, you could go for the Opte and take 2 Tercios of Solar Ox And that's a hell of a lot of infantry to shift off of objectives if you're holding the back line.
Yeah, but
Like
to do that,
80 dudes.
you've also got to find the points for those guys as well out of this.
Yeah, I'm saying you could drop some of the other stuff out of there, but yeah, it would depend on
could.
what you're going to move around.
Drop the
It's just
recon-
I was
drop-
just thinking of that because I keep trying to find ways to make the newer shit work, and it
What about
doesn't in some of my lists.
drop the Reaper batteries and put the Apate in, and then you could build the.
Yeah, but then you're missing a lot of punch out of those. That's the problem. Is they're okay at holding objectives while everyone else goes and kills, and I don't know. If anything, this list is not going to be moving a lot. So I thought it would be an interesting way to just fill your back line.
Yeah.
Sometimes I build lists just to see the look on my opponent's face when I finish deploying.
So this is
That
probably what I would
sounds
end up
great.
doing if I was gonna fiddle with everything to make it exactly as it is. Hold on. I know I need to put on here. There we go.
2K for Dave.
What? Yeah, it's 2K for Dave. So here we go. This is what I would do if it's a generic Rite of War or a generic list entirely. 2K, you got your Centurion, who's a Delegatus. He's running around with a Thunderhammer because he can. Throw him on a jet bike with his Astarte shotgun that Jack hates. Stick him down there with the 7-man Sky Hunter squad who all have Volkites, and he has the heavy bolter. Grab your solo Contemptor. You've got two with Melta Cannon and a Combi Fist. You've got two Rapier batteries. They're individual guns. That way they can't wipe both of them out by shooting one and then killing both of them. Two tactical squads, a recon squad with Nemesis bolters. Two individual javelins, the 7 Sky Hunters, a Dorito, and a 10-man heavy support squad. I think that would be a fairly competent 2K gun line.
And the Sky Hunters are heavy bolters?
No, the Sky Hunters are Volkite. They're
Okay.
there to clear out infantry while you focus on vehicles and heavy hitters with the last cannon squad, the javelins, and the rapier batteries.
Okay.
And
You
the
could find
Contemptor.
the points. They could use Apothecary or Tech Marine, but you
Yep.
ain't got it.
You've also got the recon squad that can sit there and kind of answer other people's apothecaries.
Yep.
So there you go. 2K for Dave. It's 185 points. It's 1985. So you've got 5 points somewhere left over. That
15.
Yeah, 15 points left over that you could. Oh, you know what? Never
I'd
mind.
probably put melta bombs on all the sergeants or something like that. So that way, whenever you do get stuck in a fight you don't want to be in, you can at least do something.
Oh, I got a better way to do it. Because I always forget multi bombs these days. There we go. Exactly 2K. I gave the Contemptor a melta gun inside of his fist. So you've got 3 strength 8 shots coming out of him. So there you go.
There you go, Dave. Hope you
Whoever
like it.
Dave is. Now, if you were gonna play it to a more specific legion, I would retool this entire list. But as a generic, can be anybody, or a basis for a 3K list, yeah, this is fine.
Okay, so with that being said, taking what you have here, what legion would fit with what you have?
So you could make this fit almost anybody except, I think, I don't think this would fit very well for World Eaters because it doesn't fit their aggressive playstyle.
Death Guard, it does not fit.
Yeah, Death Guard, it definitely doesn't fit.
Do you have enough bolters for it to really be useful in Imperial Fists?
Yes,
really.
Weapons.
yes, and no. No, it doesn't really fit for Imperial Fists either.
No.
You're right.
Raven Guard are kind of iffy too.
Well,
Yeah.
I could see a little bit, but
you're the recon squad, which would kind of bump it up. If you went with, you've got the fast attack javelins, which would kind of fit too, right?
I was thinking about all their weird types of falcons and whatever name things are.
Right.
I would think realistically that this would probably work best for. Let me see here. This would work very well for Iron Warriors because you've got a lot of guns, you got a lot of high strength guns. I think it would work very well for Ultramarines with their combined arm tactics.
Yep. You could string
Um,
out the Volkites, the jet bike squads that you could trigger off of damn near anybody.
yep. I think you could also make this work very easily with Iron Hands.
Oh yeah.
Um, I think Sons of Horus this would do okay with. You've already got 2 squads in there of the tacticals with the chainswords, so that would fit them being able to be active in close combat eventually. White Scars, I think, would not fit this very well because White Scars were known to hate dreadnoughts.
Yep.
And I don't think there's quite enough mobility in this list for White Scars. You could play this with Word Bearers pretty easily, unfortunately, because other than their demonic nonsense tactics, they were a rather generically bland tactics wise as a unit or as a legion. Salamanders this kind of fits for. Night Lords it does not because it doesn't have any of their play with the
Night Lords,
nighttime things.
you want to max out the squads to get the bonuses. So
Yeah, you want bigger squads of stuff.
and Dark Angels, to be honest with you, if you're doing the whichever wing is just not Iron Wing, there's the shooting one, you have to max out the tactical squads like all the way.
Yep, that's another issue there. I think
And
it worked very well for Black Shields as well.
Yeah,
because you don't have anything that's really an elite unit in there whatsoever, and you can play Black Shields. They're fun.
Yeah, I don't think you have anything that they limit either. I don't think they limit javelins or
so I built a list that was somewhat similar to yours, but I changed it out for a couple things. I had 2 Sarkarians, 3 tactical squads, just plain Jane tactical squads, 2 Contemptors, and 3 Saber Strike tanks, and a Praetor. And that was 1950 with minimal war gear on it. I mean, like you could move it around any way you want, but it gave you enough kind of variety. Like it was just generic as possible, basically. It didn't really kind of push towards one thing or another. So
I do think that you could sit here and fiddle with these very well for Alpha Legion.
yeah,
And I don't see it working with most of the close combat centric ones because it's not built towards that. It's built towards a gun line, like you said.
yeah, it's built towards gunline. You wouldn't, yeah, it's a totally different build.
But there's multiple legions you could sit there and throw this at on both Loyalist and Traitor who would work well. I think this would actually do very well with Blood Angels.
Yep.
Using some of their rights and fiddling around there. You could actually have a very
Well, the thing is, if you're
going
going
heavy.
If this is 2,000 points, most games you're going to be playing are 3,000. So there's another 1,000 points to add, the more flavor in of a Legion.
Yep. And if you're going to end up building the 3K, using this as a good basis gives you good standing for pretty much a lot of generic things you could build from.
I'm just trying to think if there's recon squads really don't have I guess you could use scout models.
Mm-hmm. They also have there used to be a recon marine model that was released by Forge World. So
There was, but I don't know if it's been restocked in some time, along with most of the Forge World stuff.
Good
I'm
question.
just thinking.
Oh yeah, they were power armored. If you want the other ones though, there's a Kickstarter that happened not too long ago. He's finally starting to ship of sculpted recon marines that look closer to the older ones with the poofy sleeves and everything that I'm waiting on.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking what is not available, like plastic wise, would be the Reaper batteries, the Recon Squad. Is that it?
Yeah. Everything else is available.
Yeah, everything else is available in plastic.
I've been building your batteries recently out of Cataphren destroyers, and then whatever weapon you're using depends. You can usually get bits of the last cannon batteries off the Spartan fit right on that thing. Is one easy way to build them. or the other one I've been using is the gun turret off of the front of the Space Marine Flyer, little interceptor thing, and it also is on the anti-aircraft Rhino. You get 2 of those on there. So just different places you can steal weapons from.
I'm just trying to think about like how difficult it would be to make it. Same thing with like mine. The only thing you wouldn't be able to get normally would be the saber tanks.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, and those they do restock, but they have restocked. But I had the recon squad. I'd have to look up.
Yeah. So for mine, other than the javelins and the recon marines, everything and the
javelins, yeah, good call.
yeah. So the javelins, the recon marines, and the rapiers are the only things that aren't available in plastic. Everything else is. So that's a good bonus there, I guess. And if you really wanted me to focus entirely on plastic only, I could redo that and just remove those things and throw other options in there.
Well,
Yeah,
But I
I
don't think we
mean,
need to.
we'll see what Dave says.
Okay.
So I think that was a great exercise. It gives
Thanks.
you did a great job of giving insight on your thought process of, like, everybody did a great job of thought process of coming up with a list and figuring out how to make it work.
And with all the stuff we recommended that you don't have points for, it'd be great for taking you to 3K or higher.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And does leave you a lot of variety for where you could go.
Mm-hmm.
Outstanding. So if you want Duncan to write a list for you just like Dave, just drop me a message. I'll make him do it.
Yeah. In fact, let's do that. Yeah. You wanna do that? I will happily write a list for you that is both fluffy, flavorful, and not over the top, unless you tell me you want an over the top list. If you
Bonus
want an
points.
over the top list,
Just
just
say
tell
you
me.
want a Duncan list, and
No.
yeah,
Do not tell me you want a Duncan list unless you want something that's absolutely ridiculously silly and maybe somewhat overpowered.
what, like your past 2 Adepticon and Team armies haven't been like totally Duncan lists?
No, they were both perfectly balanced lists.
First off, the
Yeah.
last two.
We came up with a pretty good Ultramarines Duncan list the other day. That was everybody had last cannon squads, everybody had suzerains. It was interesting.
Wait until you see what next year's team game list is. I
Our
can't say.
Patreons will be able to hear about it because I want to talk about it on our patrons episode.
Okay,
Cool.
are we going to record that tonight?
No.
Yeah, it's already 9 or right at 9.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So, shout outs for events. I know there are events coming, but I don't remember what they are.
Shout
Well,
outs
I guess
for.
the first one would be the Dallas Open is definitely going to be next month. I believe it's 24th, 23rd is the doubles, which I didn't sign up for. I'm playing in the singles, which is 24th and 25th. Also on the 17th of May is going to be the next Dallas Games Marathon Grail Abyss event that I'm running. So everyone's welcome to come to that one. A 3K list. We had 12 people show up to our last one, and 4 of them were brand new. So definitely looking forward to more people showing up for those.
Trying
Go ahead.
to pull up the email where I've got a couple of them in here.
I think the Bama, if I'm not mistaken, the next Bama event is the last weekend of May, first weekend of June. It's like the 1st of June or whatever. 31st
Yep.
and the 1st.
Again, got a shout out to the ISFON 5 event that is going on in Philadelphia, somewhere right around there. The 16th, 17th, and 18th of May. You can find their information at isfon-v.com. I'll be honest, I've somehow forgotten where the actual location is because I'm a goof, but we've talked about it in the previous 2 episodes. It's Coriopolis, Pennsylvania. It's being hosted by Astra Appalachia and the Fabricator Forge. We also have the new Ferrix event that is taking place June 21st and 22nd. And once I get through all the rest of the stuff I've had to delete, the War in the Hollows, 2-day narrative event happening in Pensacola, Florida, May 24th, 25th. It's Mechanicum themed campaign, which I've talked about previously. You can find information for them in the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness Discord under the Heresy Events channel. Also, more information is available somewhat in the Bama Heresy Discord and some of it here. And the Kentucky Heresy event. I got to pull that up. The Kentucky Heresy event, the next one is going to be Saturday, May 31st at noon at the Battle Forge in Lexington, Kentucky. For anyone who's interested in that, that will be hosted by us and Keith Craycraft, who is the big guy for there at Battle Forge, or the big guy for the Kentucky 30K. That is 3K games. It's free entry. It's just encouraging people to come out and throw dice, play games, have fun. And I think that's all of those we need to do shout outs on. We do need to do a shout out to the giveaway that we're doing of the Iron Hands Painted Army. It's painted by our friend Pennsylvania Mike. To enter in that, you have to simply come to the Discord and post here in the contest channel or on our Facebook page or on one of the YouTube videos posted right now at this point, and you need to use the keyword Keshig. That contest is running until that will run through 5/18, and we will record on 5/18 and draw the winner then. It is a full 2K list, and we're looking forward to giving that away. That's the one that's sponsored by Pop Goes the Monkey.
And then starting next episode, we'll start the giveaway for the Grex airbrush, and that will run the entire length of May.
Yep.
And I have a very special announcement for everybody that's on this podcast right now. Happy anniversary, guys.
Oh, is today our 3-year anniversary?
Our first episode dropped the 29th of whatever year that would be. Of 22.
Wow.
Math is hard.
Math's bad.
Yeah.
So we're how many episodes? What episode number is this?
125.
125 episodes in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this will be the last episode of season 3.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. So look forward to seeing where we go for the next 3 years, I guess.
Yep. A little bit. Somebody tell me if this does anything. When I post the audio podcast to lip sync for it to go out there, where it has me put a episode number and season number on it. I don't know if that season does anything, but just for fun, I've been maintaining it.
I don't see that anywhere in the way I get our cast. I pull it from Spotify and it just says episode 120 whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get mine through an app called Overcast, but it's just basically an RSS feed catcher, and I don't see any seasons.
Apple Podcasts.
I'm still going to maintain it. It makes me feel all special.
Well, that's good.
Y'all listen to the podcast?
What?
Yep. We do that.
Yeah. Last thing that I have is we all put a lot of effort into the YouTube side of it. Not so much to make money, but just to help the podcast pay for itself. So if you listen to us on YouTube or anything else on YouTube, just YouTube in general, just give us a
subscribe and thumbs up.
Well, I'm not even asking that. Just give us a subscribe. I drop all of the podcasts, in case nobody knows, on YouTube, along with the audio feed. Myself personally, that's how I unfortunately get most of my podcasts anymore. Um, if we can get to the count up to 500, that will help start offsetting some of the hosting fees for the audio version of it. So I generally don't
Well,
ask for stuff like this, but
I usually do listen on YouTube if I do listen.
I'm a subscriber.
Yep.
I
I
might
am
be a subscriber. I'll go check.
Jamie.
I think I am a subscriber.
Peer
Dude,
pressure.
I'm subscribed to like 3,000 plus things on YouTube. I don't know what I'm basically anytime I go on anything, I always like and subscribe and thumbs up anything I watch and listen.
All right. Well,
I may
for
have a special treat too on YouTube coming up for people too. So
okay.
yeah, like if you like build videos, it may be worth it watching for stuff coming up.
I'm looking forward to that. I know from a couple questions I'll give out to all the buddy listeners out there. If you like it, like episodes like today, where somebody emails in and asks Duncan to something, let us know. Reach out. I'll gladly poke them and make them do stuff. If there's stuff that you all want us to cover, um, let us know. We're like we said, we're 3 years into this. Um, not that we're out of stuff to cover, but if there's something that somebody wants to listen to, let us know.
We're
Otherwise,
still here.
we'll make Jamie starts discussing the fumes that are in his office for right now.
They're pretty good right now, to be honest with you, because I turned off the filter.
They're pretty good right now. Does anybody else have anything else? Oh my God.
No, not at all.
You know what time it is. John, do
I'm
that thing.
sure.
Yeah. So everybody, thank you for joining us on our 3-year anniversary, our 125th episode of the Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast. Uh, I'm John. Tonight I've been joined by
Brian.
Duncan.
Jack.
And Jamie,
and always remember to stay accountable to yourself, to your buddies, and your hobby. And we see you next week.
So 3 years is what it takes us to get the correct outro with a good timing. 3 years, 125
Yeah.
episodes worth of
yeah,
practice.
that's a good number.
Yep. It's a good round number. We'll not get it
Don't
right for the
worry.
next 3 years.
We'll fuck it
But
up
did we
next
get the
week.
intro right? Did we get the intro right as well? That's the bigger question. We got to get them both right on one episode.
The intro to this podcast was fairly tight.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's probably the best that we can do. Thank you all. Good night. Um, Thank you for 3 years of listening to us ramble on like old men.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.
All right, guys.
Right.
Like and subscribe and see ya.